Yo, 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 what's going on? This is the NRW Nerds Rule the World. It's your boy, Kuya P, aka Patrick Michael Strange. And today I'm going to be talking with the writer, director of Lockdown from Uncorked Entertainment. But before I get down with that interview, check out the trailer right now for Lockdown. Here we go.
Social distancing ain't working.
I am not sick!
It just keeps getting worse and worse.
I need that food.
All right, guys, listen up.
What the hell are we supposed to do, Rex?
It's the homeless. They're the reason why this virus keeps spreading. We're gonna take them out.
What?
Enjoy COVID-19.
Boom, there you go. That is the trailer for Lockdown from Uncorked Entertainment. And as you see on the screen, my special guest, Micah Lyons. How are you, sir?
I am doing very well, very well. Thank you so much for having me, man. It is a pleasure.
Oh, definitely, man. It's a wild film, this film. I literally just got done watching it about 45 minutes ago
Awesome.
in preparation to talk to you. And yeah, because we are all living in these crazy pandemic times right now, aren't we?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
this is actually, to be honest, the first film for me that's kind of speaking to this environment. And when I was looking up on IMDb, doing a little bit more research, I noticed that originally the film was called COVID-19 Invasion.
That was the original title. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is interesting. So, and then when I got to the very end of the film, that this was kind of made at the beginning or kind of the curtail or during, I'm intrigued. So tell me the genesis of this project, why you wanted to put this film together, and what spoke to you to make this film.
Yeah. Well, so the genesis of this film requires me to give you a little bit of backstory. So I was living in Los Angeles with my wife and kids. In summer 2019, I got offered to produce and direct a movie for a network, and it was going to be my biggest, kind of like my big break, right? And I had already made a few movies, but this was going to be like my biggest budget, biggest everything, right? So I talked him into letting me shoot the movie in Texas, where I'm from. And we pull our kids out of a private school in Pasadena. We put our 30-day notice on the apartment we lived in for 7 years. We get all our stuff in storage. You know, we basically cut ties with everything that we've been doing for the last 10 years of living in Los Angeles. We get to Texas, and 3 days later they pull the plug on the movie. And so overnight I become jobless and basically homeless, right? And I can't go back to LA. School starts in less than a month. My kids have lost their spot in their school. We don't have anywhere to live. We don't have any new income coming in. So we're like, shoot, we are stuck. Okay. And so I called a buddy of mine who's kind of my perpetual business partner. And he was not working on this particular film, but because at the time he was consulting on the finance side at Disney. And that's what he does, financial consulting for different studios. And so I called him up. His name's Chris Ralphie, good buddy of mine. And
shout out to Chris.
Yeah, shout out to Chris. And I said, dude, we got to make a movie. And he said, I thought you were making a movie. I said, not anymore. And so he said, okay. So we went out, and within a week we had raised a bunch of money. And I mean, it like came quicker than it ever had before. And so we're back in business. And so we start getting ready to make this movie. We're supposed to go in April of 2020. Okay. And here we are, we're about to shoot, we're attaching stars. Here it is. It's going to be our next. Now this is going to be our big movie. And then the pandemic hits. And at first we're like, nobody knew what was happening. So at first we're like, oh, this thing, it'll be over in 2 weeks. It's no big deal, because like we had no idea. Right. And so we're like, let's just press on. Let's make the movie. And about 2 weeks in, we realized like, this is like nothing we've ever seen in our lifetimes. Right. This is not, a 2 week vacation. This is different. And so that ended up shutting that movie down. And to be honest with you, man, I was so frustrated and just like, I need to make money. I need to make films. I need to what am I doing? And everyone's out of work. This is right when everything starts shutting down. And luckily at the time I was in Texas, where things were still like, really the pandemic. This is part of the frustrating part too, is that the pandemic hadn't really hit Texas the way it hit these, the East and West Coast. Yeah. And so as Texans looked around, especially in small towns, we looked around, we're like, what pandemic? Everything's normal here. We had heard of maybe one person, like distant person who had gotten it. And so we thought, this is all fake. Like, what is this? And so I called up a handful of friends and I said, look, I'm going to take my savings. I'm going to go buy a little pocket, little Black Magic pocket camera. I'm going to buy some sound stuff. I'm going to, whatever. And we're going to go make something, because I cannot just sit here and watch the clock tick until who knows. Right. Yeah, yeah. And so I called some friends of mine. I also, for like 10 years, I've been flying to Texas back and forth and teaching an acting class. Oh, wow. And so since we were in Texas, I was like, well, that's one thing I'll do to make some money is I'll teach an in-person acting class where it's just ongoing versus the normal, like I fly in for a weekend and do an intensive. And so I was teaching this acting class, and I was like, you know what? I got all these young actors in this class that are great, and some I've worked with before, some I haven't, but I'm going to turn them into movie stars, man. And so,
I love it.
And so I get together some friends and I say, hey guys, I got an outline. This is going to be really experimental. We're going to have no script. We're just going to go make something, And so lo and behold, here we go. Like 7 of us right at the top of the pandemic. Yeah. And 3 days in, I called a meeting at the end of the day of shooting. And I said, guys, I love each and every one of you, but this is a dumpster fire. We gotta trash everything and start all the way over, even though we filmed for 3 full days. Yeah. And it just wasn't working. And so I said, everybody take 3 days off. I'm going to go write act 1. And so that's why I wrote about 30 pages, and we'll come back and we'll film it. And we filmed it and we're like, hey, this is actually pretty good. Yeah. And so then we took another few days off, and I wrote another 30 or 40 pages. And so it went on like that. And then by the middle of that second stint of filming, everyone's throwing in ideas, what if he does this? And what if I say that? And so it became really collaborative. And I can honestly say, man, I've got probably, 12 or 13 producing credits on my resume now. And this movie did something for me that I have not felt since my very first movie. Like every single one of us were moving boom poles around. Yeah. Like I was shooting the movie. I've never been a cinematographer before. Like as a director and as an actor, I know a lot about exposure and different things. I know like what the DP does, but I've never been the DP before until this movie. And so I'm kind of figuring out as I go, and everybody is doing everything. And we are skipping up and down the halls, singing old 90s rap songs, yeah. I mean, I had more fun than any other movie set I've been on since my very first movie. I can't preach enough about how amazing the 7 or 8 people were that were there every single day with me, and how much fun we had. I tell people this every interview I've done. I say, look, man, I call it like I see it. Like I'm a very honest filmmaker. And if I make the next Good Will Hunting, I tell people, hey man, we got good, here it comes, get ready. This movie, this is a cheesy B action movie. And if you liked action movies from the 80s and 90s, you're going to love this movie because it's got the crashes, the explosions, the fighting, it's got the taglines. There's a line in the movie where, the main guy is trying to save his sister from this militia that's trying to kill all the homeless people, right? And she's homeless, and so he goes to try to save her, and he gets in an all out jiu-jitsu like wrestling match with this guy. They're fighting, in true 80s fashion, and she grabs a gun and she shoots the bad guy, and he rolls over dead, and the brother's like, "Whoa, you killed him!" And her line is, yeah, well, he started it. It's
Yeah.
like all those old taglines you love from those 80s and 90s movies. And so then to be able to add a star that's a very like 90s mega star like Kevin Nash to that mix is like a dream come true. So I tell people all the time, look, this is not Avengers. It's not Good Will Hunting. This is like an 80s, 90s action thriller. And if you like that, if that's your jam, come on down because we got a movie for you.
I love that, dude. Man, I love your attitude. I love just your foresight and your thinking. Because I've traveled that road as well. I think there's no greater film school than doing what you just did. As an actor who is a filmmaker as well. I love that for you because there's like an energy that you just don't get from doing either or.
Right.
That like you got from acting, and then now you dabbled in getting behind the scene, the camera. Because I know that feeling, and it's so beautiful. And you mentioned Big Sexy. I'm a big wrestling fan. I was literally at AEW Dynamite last night with some other filmmaking friends because we're all wrestling fans.
That's awesome.
How did you get Big Sexy, Mr. Kevin Nash?
Oh, well, it was a lot of negotiating with his people, and going back and forth. I got threatened by the WWE a couple of times and figured out that, that they don't own him. So there's nothing they can do about it. That's a whole other story. Probably shouldn't talk about that on the record, but Kevin, man, let me just brag on Kevin Nash. Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash is the kind of guy that can just stand in a room and everyone looks at him and just your only thought is, God, that guy's cool. I mean, just like coolness just oozes from every pore in his body, and meanwhile, he is down to earth. He's humble. He works hard. He was he was literally flying in from a different movie, a big movie that I don't think they've announced yet, but he has a massive movie coming out next year. And we were flying him from his last day of filming on that set to our set. And I had the pleasure of picking him up from the airport in Dallas. And then we had about a 2.5 hour drive. And in that 2.5 hours, man, we were just kicking it like two old college roommates. Like awesome. We talked about wrestling and we talked about Hollywood and we talked about sports and politics and like everything. And he was just such a cool guy. And then we get to the town, we get to Longview, Texas, which is where I live and where, we filmed around, we didn't film in Longview, but we filmed in Marshall, Texas, New Diana, Texas, these little tiny towns around Longview. And we get to Longview. I'm like, look, where can I take you to eat, man? I'll take you anywhere, get you whatever you want. And he's like, no. He's like, I want to buy you a steak dinner. I'm like, wait, no. I'm supposed to be buying you dinner, man.
Yeah.
Like I hired you, like I'm supposed to be taking care of you. And he's like, no, he's like, honestly, man, I've enjoyed this so much. Like, this has been so fun just getting to know you for the last couple of hours. He's like, my treat, where you want to go. And I said, no. It could be your treat, but where do you want to go? And so we end up at the Outback Steakhouse in Longview. We're kicking it, and
got a blooming onion.
Yeah, blooming onion, exactly. And I mean, like he was only with us a short time. It was a short stint of filming for him, but he was on time. He was happy to be there. He worked his butt off. I mean, he knew his lines. Like, I want to brag when I have actors like that, especially when they're famous, because a lot of times, I'll be honest, when you work with really famous people, it's kind of like it's a paycheck. And when you do your first movie, you're really excited, but that's not their first movie, and this is like, not my first movie either, but he's done a lot more than I have, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so he could have just kind of, he could have just clocked it and moved on, and he didn't do that. He worked his butt off. And so anytime that happens, I always want to go out of my way to brag on those people because they don't have to do that. And so I can't tell you enough how great it was having Kevin Nash on this movie.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I'm assuming were you a wrestling fan prior to? Or?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Okay. I have my sister, she had a boyfriend, she's older than me. He was like 7 years older than me. And man, like it was every event. He was at our house. He was watching the match and then kicking my butt around the house. I'm in like middle school and he's like a junior in high school. He's like, come here, let me show you how to do this move. Like break my neck. So I grew up with him kicking my butt and doing all the wrestling moves.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Well, congrats on you, because it's also, as filmmakers, you need that star power to help drive people,
Absolutely.
audiences to see the film. And I'm sure that's what with Kevin, and Kevin kills it with just a slight performance. And it kind of leads off. I'm not going to spoil the end, but hey, there's more. I think there could be more story to tell. And
there could be, and
it would be great to have him back, right?
It would be great. I will go so far as to say that he and I have talked and texted about that type of thing extensively. Okay. Even post movie, we've kept in touch, and we've talked about this movie. We've talked about other potential movies, and so don't be surprised if this becomes an ongoing collaboration between the two of us, and possibly a sequel, and possibly completely other films as well. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed, and if you ever need anybody else to talk about it, and or another actor, holler at me. We'll keep in touch.
For sure.
So this film, why the change from COVID-19 invasion to lockdown?
There's so much negativity around COVID. Obviously, it's a very serious topic, and it's hurt a lot of people. And one of the distributors said, hey, who wants to watch a movie about COVID in the middle of COVID, Yeah. And my argument to that, and I can see what he meant, right, on one level, but my argument to that is really this movie is not about COVID. In fact, I don't even think the word COVID is mentioned in the movie at one time. It is alluded to, but it is not a major part of the story. Really, what is going to sell tickets, so to speak, is the fact that you've got fighting and cat and mouse kind of suspense and crashes and explosions and all that action stuff. That's what sells, that's what sells copies, right? But if anything, what I really want people to walk away with from this movie is the message behind it. And that is, it's about a brother trying to reconcile with his little sister after years of not being on the same page. And there's some very serious things that have happened in their family. And it's just this movie is really about the fact that all of us, no matter what your status is in life, it doesn't matter if you're rich, it doesn't matter if you're homeless. Everybody has intrinsic value. We all matter, and everyone is important. And there's no depths that you can go to in life that you're not worthy of being loved. You're not worthy of being pulled out of that mess that you're in, whether you got yourself there or not. And if I hope people watch it because of the action. I hope they enjoy all of that, just like a good 80s, 90s action film. But what I really hope on a deeper level is that someone watches this movie, and when the movie's over, they go, I really should call mom, or I really should call my little brother or my big sister, my grandma, whoever, that person that they've had beef with for years. And they go, what, life is too short. Like, I should reconcile that. And so that's why we do it, man. Like we love blowing stuff up. That's fun. That's enjoyable. But we do it because hopefully in there somewhere, there's a nugget of truth, and someone walks away and their life becomes actually better because they saw a movie,
I love that. Well said. Real talk. I'm with you on that all the way, Micah. That's generally really how I felt as a filmmaker, actor, with everything that's been going on. I stand by those words as well. And it's a great way to kind of, hey, people, check out Lockdown, guys. That's beautiful.
Hey, one shameless plug here. Here is an early copy of the DVD.
Oh, right? My gosh.
So the distributor was nice enough. This is Uncorked Entertainment, which I've worked with multiple times. They're fantastic. They were nice enough to advance us about 100 of these. And the purpose of these is that if you go to breathoflifeproductions.com, and you go click on the store tab, you can actually pre-order an autographed copy of the DVD. And we have 100 of them. That's it. It's $30, which includes shipping anywhere in the US. And it's basically a few bucks more than you would pay for it in Walmart or anywhere else. And it comes autographed, and there's only 100. So, that you'll be one of 100 people who have that. And who knows, maybe it's just for nostalgia's sake. Maybe it'll be worth something more one day. But either way, it's a lot of fun. It's this movie world that we love, and people love to just be a part of something. And so we're offering that as kind of a limited offer type thing between now and the end of January. So breathoflifeproductions.com, the store tab, and you just click the little PayPal buy now button, and this gets shipped out to you.
Dude, I love that. As a collector and as a super nerd, we are nerds rule the world, NRW. But as a collector, I'm all about kind of stuff like that. So that's beautiful. Thank you for bringing that to our attention,
Sure.
guys. Go check that out right after you're done watching this interview. Go right now, get that order in so you can get. There's only 100 people. That's
They're going to go pretty fast. In fact, I'll tell you this: we are announcing this. So basically, this news just broke on your show.
Hey,
and we're announcing that in this East Texas area today, later today. And I have a feeling that those will sell out in this area where it was shot, like within a few minutes. So I'm giving you guys, if you're far flung, if you're not in Texas, advanced opportunity to jump on that because they are going to go pretty fast today.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. That's beautiful. I think that's super cool. I have to ask to bring it back because
Sure.
of how this journey took you to making this film. Now that it's done and over, what are you doing? Because I'm hoping you're employed.
Yes.
With everything that happened to get here at this point. How are things? Just to bring it back, because I want to know that my man is good. And what else can we expect coming from Micah Lyons?
Yes, man. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, I am good. That I am right in the middle of shooting a John Wick style Western, 1880s. That's with Chad Michael Murray from One Tree Hill and Gilmore Girls and a bunch of other stuff. And Chad, I will tell you, Chad is just like Kevin in terms of like super prepared, super on it, like, willing to work late, like just phenomenal actor, just so polished. And so that's been a blast. That movie will probably come out next year. It's called Bad Men Must Bleed.
Okay.
And much larger budget, much bigger crew, all that kind of stuff. A more like Hollywood style movie versus this one's a little bit more indie. That one's much more Hollywood.
Okay.
And then I've got a really cool project coming up later this year called Double or Nothing, and that is it's a $15 million baseball movie. And we are in talks with Mel Gibson to direct that. So fingers crossed.
Okay.
It's a very likely, but you know how that goes. I mean, people like him are extremely busy. And so schedules, sometimes even if they really want to do something, the schedule is such that it's just impossible. And so we are, hoping and praying that we can hang on to him. And, but the budget, it's got for an independent film, it's got an incredible budget. It's a true story about these two brothers who saw a stadium that they always passed, and they prayed together with their dad that they would one day make it into Major League Baseball and get to play in that stadium together. And of course, life went all these different directions, and good, bad, ugly. They got separated, went different ways. Both of them eventually made it into the MLB. And then right before they retired, unbeknownst to them, they were traded to the same team and played their last 4-game series in that stadium.
Wow.
And so it's a really miraculous story. It's a beautiful thing about family and reconciliation. Again, I guess that's a big thing for us. But just it's got a lot of heart. It's got, obviously if you love baseball, that's huge. But that one's called Double or Nothing. And so we'll go into production later this year on that, late this year. So you're probably looking at 2023, early 2024 for that one to come out.
Amazing. Bad Men Must Bleed and Double or Nothing.
Yep.
Awesome. I can't wait. As those projects develop and they're ready to be talked about, please come back through. Let us know all about it and let us give you some love and light. How can my people follow you now? They're fans now. What are some Twitters, socials? I'll also have it in the description below, people, and I'll hopefully in my edit post it up on the screen as well. How can they reach out to you, Micah?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a Twitter. I haven't tweeted in 10 years. So you can follow me on Twitter. Not going to be very exciting. But we do use Instagram, and I use Facebook a lot. So if you look up just my first and last name, Micah Lyons, on Facebook, you'll find my personal Facebook page. So if you're really into like the actual journey, like what's going on in the day to day, that's where you go to the Facebook page. I talk about life. I talk about my kids. We talk about, we have insight on what we're filming that day and whatever project we're working on. So a lot of very in-depth, like a lot going on there. If you're more of like I'm more into like the weekly or the monthly post and just the screen stills, the screen grabs, and trailers and stuff like that, little less intense, or less less involved, then I would say go to Instagram. The handle there is and then it's the acronym for Breath of Life Productions. So it's at BOLP, and then the word films. So at BOLP Films. And that's the more like, if you just want to check in every now and then and see what's up. Instagram, if you want the day-to-day, come find me on Facebook and you can add me. I'm open to everybody. Follow me, drop me a line. I'm always down to collaborate with like-minded people. And I think that's what it's all about, man. I just want to be a man of the people. And I don't know. It's what I love about life.
I love your energy, my friend. I'm going to give you all the love, all the follows. So we'll be in touch as those projects develop. Let's talk. I love filmmakers like you and just this journey. I can see it and I can feel it. It's a pleasure to meet you virtually. Give Micah Lyons all the love, all the follows, and be sure to pick up Lockdown over on the site because you can get some of those 100 autograph copies. But if you don't find it there, if you sold out, I'm sure Walmart, all the places are gonna have it on DVD and video on demand on February 1st. 2022. Micah, this was truly a pleasure. Thank you for your time. Give them all the love.
Oh, thank you so much.
Definitely. Your boy Kuya P at the NRW, where nerds rule the world. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at the Legend Kuya P. And of course, here at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. Micah Lyons, we love you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Bye-bye.
All right, we're out.
Hey, everybody, this is Micah Lyons, writer, director, and producer of a new movie called Lockdown starring Kevin Nash. We would love for you to see my interview with NRW, so check it out, and you will see all about what it's like to make a movie with Kevin Nash, what it's like to be in an action movie and to make an action movie, all the behind the scenes stuff, and some details that you might never get otherwise. So please check out NRW for that interview and check out the movie on February 1st. It's going to be nationwide in Walmart and in several other stores and streaming sites around the country. Thank you so much.